In 2021, Saudi Arabia announced a mirrored city 170 kilometers long and 500 meters tall that would house 9 million people. By 2024, the kingdom quietly changed the numbers. 170 kilometers became 2.4 kilometers. 9 million residents became 300,000. Headlines called it failure. But across the desert of Tabuk province, more than 16,000 foundation piles anchor what could become the world's tallest building. Concrete flows at a rate of 20,000 cubic meters per day. Construction crews work around the clock. So, can Saudi Arabia actually complete the line? Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman introduced the line in 2021 as the centerpiece of NEOM, a $500 billion plan to revolutionize how we think about cities. The vision called for 2 parallel mirrored buildings stretching across mountains and desert with no cars or streets. Just high-speed rail moving residents from end to end in 20 minutes. Everything you need within a 5-minute walk, vertically stacked in a corridor just 656 feet wide. The renderings look like something from another planet. But by April 2024, Bloomberg reported a major shift. The kingdom now expected fewer than 300,000 residents by 2030, down from the original target of 1.5 million. The construction timeline changed too. Instead of 170 kilometers, the focus moved to completing just 2.4 kilometers by the end of the decade. That's 1.4% of the original plan. Saudi officials say the line remains a strategic priority. NEOM confirms construction continues at Hidden Marina, where 3 modules will anchor future development. What we're watching here is ambition meeting the hard realities of physics and finance. Satellite imagery reveals a massive trench carved through Tabuk province. Construction teams have moved over 170 million cubic yards of earth to date. At Hidden Marina, foundation work now covers modules 45 through 47. Engineering teams drove more than 16,000 concrete piles into the ground. Some reached 230 feet deep. Each pile measures 8 feet in diameter and weighs 850 tons. Construction specialists call them among the largest piles in the world. NEOM built a $185 million concrete factory producing 26,000 cubic yards per day just to service the line. Over 260 excavators and 2,000 trucks operate around the clock. The dewatering system processes 3 million gallons of water every hour. The project sits 100 feet below sea level, requiring 500 wells working constantly to pump out groundwater. Hidden Marina adds another layer of complexity. Ships must pass through the line to reach an inland waterway. That requires a 540-foot wide passage through 1,640-foot tall buildings. The largest cruise ships measure 220 feet wide and 236 feet tall. The design accommodates them with clearance built in. Vertical construction started in late 2025 using 40 skyscraper cores, each 1,640 feet tall. These cores connect through roughly 2 million tons of structural steel trusses forming horizontal decks. Teams prefabricate components at ground level before hoisting them into position. Some pieces weigh up to 5,000 tons. The line currently consumes about 20% of global steel production. The anchor strategy revolves around 3 features: the marina itself, designed to be twice the size of any existing marina, a 46,000 capacity stadium suspended 1,150 feet above ground, and the chandelier entrance feature visible from the Red Sea. These 3 elements aim to prove the concept works before building anything else. The original price tag ranged from $100 to $200 billion. Recent estimates suggest over $1 trillion for the complete vision. A 2023 draft presentation estimated completion by 2028 at $8.8 trillion. That equals 25 times Saudi Arabia's annual budget. Even the scaled-back 2.4 kilometers carries an estimated price tag around $140 billion. Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund backs NEOM. The fund holds around $1 trillion in assets. Committing hundreds of billions to one project strains even sovereign wealth this size. Oil price drops forced budget deficits across sectors. The kingdom wrote down $8 billion in value from NEOM and other projects in 2024, acknowledging cost overruns and delays. Financial pressure led to workforce cuts. Reports indicate 35% of construction workers left since April 2025. Over 1,000 employees relocated from the site to Riyadh for cost control. These moves suggest real cash flow constraints affecting operations. The original strategy relied on attracting private investment to fund expansion beyond the initial phase. Investors remain skeptical. Critics question whether 2.4 kilometers can prove the broader concept. Reuters reported Saudi Arabia plans to shift its $925 billion sovereign wealth fund away from real estate megaprojects toward better near-term returns. Vision 2030 sits less than 5 years away. The 2034 FIFA World Cup Stadium represents a binding commitment. Construction must begin in 2027 and finish by 2032. FIFA expects functional venues. The world will watch progress unfold. Saudi Arabia cannot delay without massive reputational damage as the sole bidder for the tournament. Multiple sources, including the Financial Times, reported former executives privately admitting the project faces severe challenges. When plans dropped from 20 modules to 3, those 16,000 piles suddenly served a fraction of the intended structure. One senior construction manager described it as trying to run before learning to walk. NEOM extends beyond the line. Sindala Island Resort opened in October 2024 to invited guests. Trojena Ski Resort aims to host the 2029 Asian Winter Games, though officials consider postponing to 2033. Oxagon Port features the world's largest green hydrogen facility, 90% complete, and starting operations by mid-2026. Building multiple smaller projects provides advantages over one megastructure. Sindala generates tourism revenue now. Trojena has a firm deadline with international oversight. The hydrogen plant represents real economic diversification from oil dependence. These projects require less capital per unit and deliver measurable results faster than 170 kilometers of linear city. Dennis Hickey, NEOM's Chief Development Officer, stated at Davos in January 2025 that development focuses on 6 regions: 4 tourism destinations, plus the Line and Oxagon as urban hubs. The Line becomes one piece of a larger economic transformation puzzle. So the question really breaks into 3 parts. Can they complete 2.4 kilometers by 2030? Based on what we're seeing on the ground, the answer looks like yes, though there are still challenges ahead. Foundation work is moving forward steadily. Vertical construction kicked off on schedule in late 2025. The concrete factory is running at full capacity. The dewatering system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. If the funding keeps coming, building 2.4 kilometers by 2030 looks technically doable. We could even see the first residential areas opening by late 2026 based on current timelines. Now, can they finish the NEOM Stadium by 2032? This is where things get interesting. The 46,000-seat venue has to host matches through the quarter-finals. These are the international commitments, which means external parties will be watching closely. Failing here would damage Saudi Arabia's reputation as a World Cup host. The good news is the stadium sits right in the middle of the active construction zone at Hidden Marina. They've got a 2-year buffer before 2034, which gives them some breathing room for delays. Populous is believed to be handling the stadium design. Given the current progress and the fact that FIFA requirements are binding, completion looks possible. But here's the big question. Can they ever complete the full 170 kilometers as originally announced? The timeline for that stretches to 2045 or even beyond. We're talking decades to solve the financial and technical challenges. Right now, this initial segment is really a proof of concept for the broader vision. Multiple construction specialists told the Financial Times something crucial. They believe the line needs at least 7 modules to attract serious private capital. You need critical mass, somewhere between 300,000 and 500,000 residents. The current plans might fall short of that threshold. So what does that mean? 3 possible futures are emerging. In the success scenario, the 2.4 kilometers gets completed and gradually fills up over the next decade. Residents get the promised amenities and this unique urban environment. The unusual form pulls in global attention and investment interest. Private investors eventually step in to fund expansion because they've seen it work. The line becomes proof of concept, validating decades of continued development. In the partial completion scenario, they deliver the World Cup Stadium and some residential units by the required deadlines, but most of the line stays unfinished indefinitely, just a future aspiration. The completed segment becomes a monument to scaled-back ambitions, while the kingdom redirects resources to more immediately viable NEOM projects like Sindala and the hydrogen plant. Then there's the white elephant scenario. Construction stops after completing just enough stadium infrastructure to meet FIFA requirements. Financial pressures force them to abandon residential components beyond what supports the tournament venue. The site becomes a cautionary tale about overreach in megaproject planning. Now, Wikipedia reported that PIF suspended work in September 2025, though construction activity has clearly continued since then. History gives us some perspective here. Brasilia took decades to reach its target population after completion. Plenty of planned cities started smaller than envisioned before growing into their ambitions. The real question is whether the line can attract enough residents and investment to justify expansion, or whether it stays frozen at its minimum viable configuration. So can Saudi Arabia actually complete the line? Well, the answer depends on which version we're talking about. The original 170-kilometer, 9 million resident vision announced in 2021? That appears beyond reach in any reasonable time frame given where things stand today. The economics haven't been proven. The timeline defies construction realities even with unlimited resources. Private investors aren't going to fund expansion at that scale without dramatic changes in the project fundamentals. But the scaled-back 2.4-kilometer first phase? That's achievable territory. Construction activity supports completion by 2030 if funding levels hold steady. NEOM officials say progress continues despite all the external skepticism. Here's what really matters though. The World Cup Stadium creates the firmest deadline, the one that drives real accountability. This commitment forces Saudi Arabia to deliver functional infrastructure by 2032. International scrutiny means the kingdom faces real consequences for walking away from this element. Stadium completion looks within reach, though budget pressures keep creating uncertainty. Now, the 2045 timeline for full completion assumes something pretty big: sustained political will and stable economic conditions over at least 20 years. Think about how much changes in 2 decades. Technologies will evolve, leadership priorities will shift, global economic conditions will transform completely. What seems impossible today might become routine tomorrow. What feels essential today might become irrelevant in future decades. Despite repeated reports of suspension, construction continues. Workers keep driving piles, pouring concrete, excavating earth at massive scale. The physical reality of the line exists in the Saudi desert today. Foundations anchor the vision firmly to bedrock. The line went from impossible dream to achievable reality by becoming smaller. Sometimes the most ambitious thing you can do is admit what's actually possible. Whether that 2.4 kilometers becomes a foundation for something bigger or remains a monument to scaled-back ambitions, we'll find out by 2030. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the line, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next mega project breakdown. We've got more incredible construction stories coming your way. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think about the line. Will they pull it off, or is this ambition too far? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.